9 years ago. We were building our house and doing all the things. We had a family. We were ready to settle down. And one night I was like, I don't feel very good. So we took a pregnancy test and I was pregnant. Not expecting to have 4 children. So it was kind of a shock. I had a doctor's appointment. I had a tumor removed, which they thought was just a cyst. So nothing out of the ordinary. And they said, you have lymphoma and you need to go see the oncologist tomorrow. When we went to the oncologist, I really didn't know what to think. From here, we went to MD Anderson and they did their own, they had the biopsy sent down there and they did their own biopsy. And it all came back the same as what they said here, a very aggressive type of lymphoma that definitely needed to be treated, at that moment. The doctors all encouraged us to have an abortion. They said, really, you have 3 kids at home, your mom, you have a family, you've got to take care of them. And that was the struggle. How do you choose which kids are important?
We were in Houston and a mutual friend of ours had called and I had told her what we were going through. And she said, oh my gosh, you need to call Lonnie.
She shared with me a little bit about the Donegans and asked if I would be willing to make a visit. And I said, okay, if you'll set it up, I can go now.
He came and visited with us and made sure that everything was good and, was with us through our darkest hour.
Amy and I were talking, just getting to know her a little bit. And I said, well, tell me what's causing the most challenges for you. What is the most stressful part of this? The situation was she had the cancer. The doctors wanted her to abort the baby so she could start treatment. And she just did not know if she could do that. She really didn't know at that point what was the right thing to do. And I could see the desperation in the look on her face of how do we do this and do it the right way? And that is when I told her there's not a right or wrong answer to this. But I do remember it was like a gut punch to realize that that's what they were going through.
When it hit me was when we got our second opinion, and then the oncologist specialist said it was highly aggressive, and he recommended terminating the pregnancy. We considered it for a second, and then Amy prayed about it, and then came back the next day and told me. I remember I was working here in the living room, and she said, God doesn't make mistakes, and, why is my life more important than hers?
But she said, people are telling me that I have no right to save this baby and take a chance of not being a mom to my 3 children and a wife to my husband. And I couldn't imagine what that's like, because all of a sudden there's strife in the family to go along with friends. And I just remember thinking, she doesn't get that from us, not one bit. All she's going to get from us is support. And they're going to know that we're with them no matter what happens, how tough it gets. We're going to be there.
The stress of how do you pick? How do you say, hey, this is right and that's wrong? And is one thing that, Lonnie and some other people that we dealt with said, hey, your story is your story.
My wife and I were coming off a vacation we hadn't had in several years, and I turned my phone on getting off the plane, and there was a message from Josh, and he said, give me a call. So I called, and we were in Dallas, and he said, we'd like to talk to you. So we met them at some place to eat, and Amy was real bubbly. I mean, she was pretty excited, it seemed like to me. We hugged, and Josh said, I'm going to let her tell you the good news. And she said, I'm cancer-free. And then went on to explain what they had found when they'd done the last PET scan. Just a few months later, Josh gives me a call. He said, we are going to have this baby tomorrow.
Yeah, she's like, okay, it's time to go now. So I had to run a couple of red lights. She almost had her in the truck. and it was
My
like,
water broke, and
yeah.
I was having her as we like pulled in on 2 wheels to the hospital.
I remember them saying they've never seen anybody so excited to have their 4th kid. And I guess they didn't really realize what we had been through.
She was healthy. Everything was great.
The next day, he told me about Danley Grace. 2 days later, I was headed this way, and I just remember Amy putting this beautiful baby girl in my hands and just holding her and thinking, God, you can do anything.
Well, here we are 8 years later, and this is Danley Grace. Hi. In the middle of all the things that we were dealing with, like, it was nice to have just like somebody that was neutral but had our best interest at heart. Like, they were an advocate for us, but not pushy and not trying to overstep any boundaries, and not being something that we didn't want, but just to have somebody there that, is a neutral party that can advocate for you when you need that. When you're in the moment, you're consumed by so many things and so many emotions. I honestly don't know that you probably really realize what you're going through. I think Spring Creek Ministries would be good for pretty much anyone that's going through something.
The opportunity we have to serve other people in this ministry don't come without a cost. We have our biggest fundraiser every year on Giving Tuesday. Your donations to the ministry will help us reach more people and serve the people we're serving now even better.
My family and I would like for y'all to consider giving to Spring Creek Ministries for Giving Tuesday.